In the early summer of 2020, right in the midst of a lockdown, my girlfriend, now my wife, and I decided to make a life-changing decision. We packed up our lives in New York City and embarked on a new journey. The reasons for our move were multifaceted, logistical, political, and financial, but ultimately, we felt that Texarkana, where my wife had family, offered a more affordable and spacious living situation. Our plan was flexible. We believed that if we missed the hustle and bustle of New York City after a year or so, we could always return once everything settled down. Upon reaching Texarkana, we found a quaint rental house that not only suited our needs but was also more affordable than our Manhattan apartment. Excited to begin this new chapter, we settled into our new home by the end of June. It was during one of our grocery shopping trips that we spotted our neighbors from across the street for the first time. Eager to make connections in this new community, we decided to introduce ourselves. The couple living across the street consisted of a heavily pregnant woman and her partner. They warmly greeted us with smiles, and we engaged in some friendly small talk, including barbecue recommendations. Though it was a pleasant interaction, we noticed that we hadn't seen them around much afterward. We didn't think too much of it, assuming they were simply busy or preferred privacy. However, a few weeks later, during a visit from my future mother-in-law, the truth began to unfold. She had noticed something unusual about the pregnant woman across the street and shared her concerns with my wife. To our surprise, she expressed a suspicion that the woman was faking her pregnancy. Given my mother-in-law's experience as a mother of 5, her intuition was taken seriously. While I found it hard to believe initially, I respected her level-headedness and the fact that she wouldn't make such an accusation lightly. To unravel this mystery, my wife and I embarked on a quest for answers. We pondered how someone could convincingly fake a pregnancy and keep it hidden from her partner. As we couldn't just approach our neighbor and ask about her pregnancy, we were left to speculate. We agreed to wait, hoping that time would eventually reveal the truth. Meanwhile, we focused on settling into our new lives in Texarkana, and the idea of our neighbor faking her pregnancy became a distant concern. However, we did notice that we hadn't seen the couple around for quite some time. This absence struck us as odd, given that we expected to witness the typical activities surrounding the birth of a child. It was not until September of the following year that the shocking truth came to light. My wife sent me a link to a news website with a series of shocked face emojis and the words, "Look at the picture." As I opened the link, I was met with a headline that sent shivers down my spine. Texas woman allegedly stabbed Montague 100 times, then tried to steal baby from womb. There, in the accompanying photo, was our neighbor, the heavily pregnant woman we used to live across the street from. Her mugshot, clad in an orange jumpsuit and tearful eyes, revealed the unimaginable truth. It turned out that my mother-in-law's suspicion was valid. Our neighbor had faked her pregnancy to keep her partner from leaving her, and had cunningly befriended an actual pregnant woman with sinister intentions of stealing her unborn child. The horror of the crime and the calculated deception chilled me to the core. The woman had played a long con, forging a close bond with the victim and her partner, even attending their wedding and capturing cherished moments on camera. All the while, she had been biding her time, waiting for the opportune moment to commit the unthinkable act of murder, cutting open the victim's womb and snatching her unborn baby. It was a chilling realization to know that someone could be so close to you, acting friendly and supportive, all the while harboring malevolent intentions. The heinous crime and the slow burn aspect of the deception left an indelible mark on our minds. To think that this could happen in the neighborhood we briefly called home was deeply unsettling. Justice prevailed, and the woman was sentenced to Texas death row for her monstrous actions. Reflecting on this haunting experience, we are reminded of the fragility of trust and the importance of staying vigilant in our interactions with others. During my younger days, I was an avid player of the Call of Duty franchise. The game not only held immense appeal for me, but it was also the go-to choice for my group of friends whenever we wanted to game together. FIFA occasionally made an appearance, but Call of Duty, especially Modern Warfare, was our primary obsession. The release of Modern Warfare 3 in November 2011 had all of us buzzing with excitement. The days leading up to the game's launch were filled with anticipation and discussions among my old school buddies, who were also my football mates. We were all planning to get the game and immerse ourselves in its action-packed gameplay. When the big day finally arrived, we wasted no time in diving into the gaming world of Modern Warfare 3. The first few days after the release were a blur of exhilarating gameplay sessions. We'd play during every spare moment, and when Friday night rolled around, our enthusiasm reached its peak. I found myself engrossed in a team deathmatch match that Friday night, completely absorbed in the virtual warfare. However, my intense gaming session took an unexpected turn when I suddenly heard a voice amid the game's sounds. "Our UAV is online," followed by a faint "help me" in quick succession. My immediate reaction was to mute the game and sit in silence, trying to comprehend what I had just heard. The second utterance of "help me" was even clearer, and I was now certain that it didn't come from the game's audio. I continued playing, but the unsettling feeling stayed with me. A few minutes later, the chilling plea echoed again, and this time, it was distinct and desperate. I couldn't see anyone outside my window, but the voice was so real that it sent shivers down my spine. The person asking for help sounded weak and sorrowful, and I couldn't ignore the urgency in their voice. I lived on the first floor of the building, giving me a good view of the pathway and the street. However, just below my window, there was a blind spot where I couldn't see directly. This was where the voice seemed to be coming from, and the fact that I couldn't see anything at all intensified my fear. By the fourth time I heard the plea for help, my heart was racing with terror. I was paralyzed with fear, but I knew I couldn't let my apprehension stop me from investigating. Finally mustering my courage, I rushed outside to discover the source of the voice. To my horror, I found a frail, elderly woman lying on the pavement just below my window, her head bleeding from a nasty wound. It was a heartbreaking sight. I quickly realized that she needed urgent medical attention. She had dementia and had wandered into our backyard, and her fall had left her delirious with pain. Without wasting a moment, we called for help, and the police arrived promptly. They ensured that she received the medical care she needed, and I felt a sense of relief knowing that she was safe and in good hands. Despite the initial shock and fear, I was grateful that I had been able to help her during that critical moment. It was a reminder that sometimes life throws unexpected challenges our way, and we must rise above our own fears to lend a helping hand to those in need. While my Call of Duty gaming sessions were usually filled with virtual battles, that particular night became a reminder of the very real battles some people face in their lives. Though I was initially terrified, it was a humbling experience to be able to assist someone in need, and it left a lasting impression on me. From that day forward, I couldn't help but ponder the significance of that strange, haunting experience. It was as if fate had intervened in my gaming night to show me that there are more profound and meaningful moments in life beyond the virtual world. I started to view my interactions with others, both in and outside of the gaming realm, with a renewed sense of empathy and compassion. As the days turned into weeks, my friends and I continued our gaming sessions, but something had changed within me. I couldn't shake off the memory of that night, and it made me more mindful of the people around me, both in my virtual battles and in the real world. The incident also made me reflect on the power of technology and gaming communities. While online gaming allows us to connect with people from all over the world, it also highlights the importance of fostering a sense of camaraderie and support within these virtual spaces. Behind every avatar is a real person with their own struggles, fears, and dreams. The experience also sparked conversations among my friends about how we could make a positive impact beyond the gaming world. We decided to organize charity streams and events, using our passion for gaming to raise funds for various causes and help those in need. It was incredible to see how our shared love for Call of Duty could translate into real-world contributions for the greater good. In the years that followed, my friends and I remained avid gamers, but we also became advocates for kindness, empathy, and social responsibility. We discovered that gaming could be a powerful tool for bringing people together, not just for entertainment, but also for positive change. Looking back on that fateful night, I can't help but feel grateful for the strange twist of fate that led me to help the elderly woman in need. It showed me that life has a way of presenting us with unexpected opportunities to make a difference. Whether in the virtual world of Call of Duty or the real world outside, there are countless opportunities to show kindness and compassion. And so, with each gaming session and every interaction in the real world, I carry the memory of that night as a reminder that even in the midst of virtual battles, we can choose to be a force for good, supporting and uplifting those around us. It's a lesson that has stayed with me through the years and continues to shape the way I approach both gaming and life. In my early 20s, financial struggles pushed me to take on a series of less-than-ideal jobs just to make ends meet. Among this lineup of unappealing positions, the role of a movie theater cleaner stood out as the most nightmarish, and not just because of the messy cleanup duties. It was a job that exposed me to the less savory aspects of human behavior and challenged my sense of safety and security. Cleaning up after moviegoers quickly revealed the unfortunate truth about the lack of consideration some people had for public spaces. It seemed as if some individuals reveled in discovering the most disgusting things they could leave behind in those dimly lit theaters. Diapers, needles, nail clippings, and vomit-filled chip bags became familiar sights for the cleaning crew, leaving us astounded and disgusted at the audacity of some patrons. While the filth and litter were abhorrent, the job's most unnerving aspect was the lack of security provided during the late-night shifts. Our workday commenced at the ungodly hour of 2 a.m., plunging us into the darkness of the night with minimal protection. As a bicycle served as my sole mode of transport, it made me feel vulnerable and exposed, especially as I traversed the empty streets to and from the theaters. Compounding this sense of insecurity was the choice of security guards hired by the theaters. Lazy, overweight, or seemingly meek individuals were entrusted with the task of ensuring our safety. Their lackadaisical attitude and indifference to our well-being did little to instill confidence in their abilities to safeguard us during those late hours. On one slow weekday morning, the vulnerability of my situation came into sharp focus. Engaged in picking up trash from the parking lot around 4:30 to 5 a.m., my peaceful routine was interrupted by a call from my boss. Her voice carried an air of concern as she urged me to return inside immediately. Apparently, she had spotted a suspicious truck pulling into the opposite side of the parking lot. As I answered the call with my headphones still on, the scene escalated dramatically. The same truck I presumed she mentioned screeched to a halt beside me, and a man with his face concealed by a shirt emerged from the vehicle, charging in my direction. Panic set in, and I dropped everything in my hands, propelling myself towards the theater's entrance with all the speed I could muster. With each heartbeat, it felt as though the man was closing in on me, his intentions unknown but undoubtedly malevolent. Every step I took was a desperate plea for escape, driven by sheer terror. Reaching the entrance just in time, I slammed the door shut as the man's fingertips brushed the frame. The sight of his defeat and the raw relief of my narrow escape flooded me with a mix of emotions, from elation to lingering fear. The experience left me trembling and anxious, and the first thing we did after the incident was to call the police and provide them with a detailed statement. It was a horrifying realization that my workplace had become a target for potential danger and harm. In the aftermath, my co-workers and I clung together, supporting one another through the trauma of the incident. The decision to take cabs home instead of risking our safety on foot or bike became unanimous. It was a powerful acknowledgement that our lives were worth safeguarding, and we refused to put ourselves at further risk. The incident lingered in my mind, and as time passed, I couldn't shake off the feeling of guilt. Unlike some of my co-workers, I had the privilege to leave that perilous job, but many of them were not as fortunate. They continued to brave the dangers to support their families, revealing the true extent of their resilience and dedication. While the experience weighed heavily on me, it also fostered an unwavering bond with my co-workers. Their empathy and unwavering support following the most frightening episode of my life will forever hold a special place in my heart. Ultimately, the absence of significant security improvements, and the theater's reluctance to prioritize our safety led to my decision to quit a few weeks later. I yearned for a work environment where my well-being was taken seriously, and the incident solidified my conviction that it was time to move on. Looking back, I will always remember those nights spent cleaning movie theaters, not just for the nightmarish tasks, but for the camaraderie forged with my co-workers amidst the darkness and uncertainty. Their strength and resilience in the face of adversity served as an enduring reminder of the power of unity and empathy.